How do you cope when someone or something close to you suddenly disappears without a trace? Sometimes in life, sacrifice is necessary, but when does it stop being noble and become a hollow tool for control? How do you learn to accept yourself when everyone tells you you're worthless, and you begin to believe them unconditionally? These are a few lessons Guardian Tales teaches its players throughout its ongoing story. Hello and welcome to the Absolute Gamecast. Today I'll be discussing the story, design, and gameplay of Guardian Tales. Before diving into greater detail, this video will contain minor spoilers for Guardian Tales and its story, so I recommend playing the game blind and watching this video once you've caught up. The journey is long, but well worth the wait. For those unfamiliar, Guardian Tales is a free-to-play puzzle RPG developed by Kong Studios and published by Cacao Games. The game was released February 24th, 2020 on mobile devices before also being ported over to the Nintendo Switch in 2022, and is still receiving content updates to this day. As you make your way through levels, you're met with various objectives such as completing story quests, solving puzzles, or fighting waves of enemies. There are many types of puzzles in Guardian Tales, but some common examples include lighting torches, moving or breaking boulders, pushing buttons, with some needing to be weighed down by various objects, and more. While not always the case, you're typically introduced to new types of puzzles every world, with some being exclusive to certain levels or worlds. In my opinion, the game's puzzles are very fun and fair for people of all skill levels. Some puzzles are easy and take no time at all, while others are much more difficult and can require multiple attempts. A good example from my playthrough is the puzzle Trial of the Chosen One from World 13-3. In this side quest, you're placed in a small area surrounded by bombs and have to dodge the explosion radius for 20 seconds. It may not sound that bad on paper, but in execution, the real difficulty comes from the fact that the explosions slowly get faster the further into the timer you get, meaning by the end you only have mere seconds to react, and if you make a single mistake at any point, you have to do the whole puzzle again. Luckily, this is an optional puzzle, so if you're not interested in getting 100%, you can skip it if you so choose. However, for some reason, I forgot that was the case when I got to the section, and assuming the puzzle was mandatory, I slammed my head into a wall over and over, in Minecraft, until I finally beat it. Probably not my proudest moment, but at least I got there in the end, right? Anyway, moving on to the game's combat. Guardian Tales features a real-time battle system where you select one of 4 to 5 skills depending on your character and the situation you're in. You have full control over your lead character, while the remaining 3 members are computer-controlled and fight on their own accord. This adds a layer of strategy to who you play as, because if you were to play as a tank unit, for example, you can sponge all the damage yourself while your party safely dishes out heavy damage to scrub away at your opponent's health bar. I'll stop now, I promise. New characters are acquired using gems at the character gacha. You know what that means. You can also acquire new weapons or gear through the equipment gacha, with each character's exclusive weapon only being available through equipment summons or from the related mileage shop. As alluded to before, every character belongs to one of 4 classes, those being warrior, tank, support, and ranged. They also belong to one of 6 elements: basic, dark, earth, fire, light, and water, each with their own type matchups to keep in mind during battle for maximum damage. Each character's skills also have various secondary effects that can either help empower your teammates, empower the user, or weaken enemies, making team synergy an important thing to keep in mind for the best benefits during combat. None of your party's skills exemplify the need for synergy more than chain skills, special skills that can only be triggered when enemies have been afflicted with a status condition. Upon use, the skill's effect triggers on a single enemy with the condition before replacing their status condition with a new one. If you build your team in a way that links up chain skills well, you can potentially stun lock enemies for a prolonged period and take them out before they can make a move. In specific levels, you may come across a boss enemy, which is typically stronger with more health and sometimes special attack patterns or gimmicks you have to pick up on to survive the fight. These fights can sometimes be pretty unforgiving and require a lot of training or trial and error to defeat, but with enough practice, they become a bit easier over time. If you're particularly struggling, you can train your team by earning XP in various dungeons, equipping better gear, and using resources from optional dungeons to awaken and evolve your characters. I would say overall the gameplay of Guardian Tales strikes a fine line between fair and difficult once you nail down the fundamentals. Many hardcore players would likely enjoy the thrill of facing a difficult, massive challenge, while more casual players who are more interested in other aspects of the game won't feel alienated. And with all the tucked away references to various movies, shows, and games, as well as the various recreations of classic games scattered throughout, out. Guardian Tales really feels like a love letter to not just the game's own genre, but to gaming and pop culture as a whole. Moving on to overall visual design, the world and level design of Guardian Tales is equally rich, with every place you visit feeling similar yet different from one another in various unique ways, be they large cities or kingdoms, or small villages or settlements. Many levels can lead to secret areas that provide more story, puzzles to solve, enemies to fight, and people to meet, each with their own various cultures and goals, making some parts of the experience feel far less linear and the world itself much more open and lived in. To any longtime viewers of this channel, it should come as little surprise that as a sucker for good pixel art in video games, I absolutely love this game's graphics. Pixel art is a medium where large amounts of detail can be tricky to express properly unless you really know what you're doing. In the case of Guardian Tales, every character's sprite is packed with expressions and animations that work well within the game's aesthetic and deliver the necessary tone of every scene they're in very well. Guardian Tales also features a number of cutscenes, some being in the game's usual style and others taking the form of illustrated cinematic cutscenes, the latter of which being my personal favorites. In my opinion, the cinematic cutscenes in this game have to be some of the best cutscenes I've seen in any mobile game I've played. You could be scaling a tower, avoiding loads of falling debris, fighting giant 2D or 3D monsters, or seeing massive hordes of enemies or allies charging into battle, and it's all smooth and lag-free. Overall, I really like the graphical design and animation of this game. As mentioned before, it really helps the world and its characters feel alive, and really helps Guardian Tales stand out in the mobile gaming market on its own. However, saving the best aspect for last, we have the game's story, which is in my opinion the strongest part of Guardian Tales. While not always the case, you typically play as a future hero known as the Knight, whose mission is to protect the kingdom of Canterbury's little princess from various threats. After the fall of the kingdom, the Knight and their allies travel on the flying fortress Heavenhold, recruiting a group of champions to empower the Champion Sword, a magical weapon found in the kingdom's woods, and use it to save Canterbury and the world from an alien race known as the Invaders. Along the way, both the Knight and the princess learn more about their kingdom, the origins and purpose of Heavenhold, and the fact that they're seemingly trapped in a time loop that always ends with victory before resetting again and again. Their mission now evolves into finding a way to break the cycle and defeat the Invaders once and for all. I love the story of Guardian Tales because while my brief summary may not do it justice, I can say with full confidence no other mobile game I've played has made me emotional as much as Guardian Tales. Throughout your journey, you witness instances of realistic war, child abandonment, various characters on both sides sacrificing their lives for someone or something else, and characters struggling with self-worth and other mental struggles. And that's just a few examples. There's plenty of moments of levity sprinkled throughout the game, but it does not pull any punches by any means. With how good the character writing is, the characters are so layered you start caring for or relating to them, and you strongly empathize with them when bad things happen to them, making the emotional moments hit harder than some would likely expect. In conclusion, I really enjoyed what Guardian Tales has to offer so far, and I look forward to seeing what future updates have in store. I first discovered this game last year while looking for a simple free time game and ended up walking away with so much more than I bargained for. Needless to say, the concept for this video has been a long time coming, and I'm happy I finally got to make it, and I hope this video convinced you to check it out for yourself if you haven't already. If anyone on the Guardian Tales team is watching this, thank you for all the work you put into making this game what it is, and for building a positive, welcoming, and active community through your social media and live streams to really bring players together. With all that said, I think that's about it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. Not gonna force you, do what you want. Thanks for tuning in, and that's the video. Bye.